Hey, paisans, the time has come. On the air since 2009, the independently produced, non-FCC compliant champ of video game talk podcasting. Here comes Tiger Claw Radio. Here's your host, Critical Failure.
Welcome everyone to Tiger Claw Radio. I'm your host, Critical Failure. Oh yeah, chiptunes, video games, the whole bit. The whole bit. Thanks for tuning in. It's going to be quite a show for you this week. Let's kick things off with a chiptune. Let's kick things off with a chiptune from Battle of the Bits while I figure out why my mic's popping so hard. Stick with us. We'll see you in a bit. Evening, everybody. Oh, jeez Louise. Hang on. Is that any better? Hang on, let's put the thing back on it. Boom! Alright! Thank you for tuning in to Tiger Claw Radio, everybody's show's Critical Failure. Today, we're gonna listen to the internet, put our ear to the ground, and see what's going on. See if we can hear any jingle jangle through the old train tracks. It's the old style fail bag. I'm gonna head over to forums, and we're gonna read people's posts as if they were questions into the show. It gives me the opportunity to weigh in on internet arguments as if I have some sort of authority that I don't really have, which is really what a lot of us like to do in our imaginations when we read these sort of things. People give their opinions, and my opinions are, I feel very strongly about my opinions because they're mine and they live inside my head along with my voices. All right. So off we go to the corners of the internet where people commonly discuss video games. And the first question, I think this is appropriate since we talk, especially in the last couple weeks, a lot about these portable handhelds that are being made. Fun Key S. Thoughts on this little thing? I want to get one and another for my baby sister for Christmas. You think it's a good piece of tech? And if you're not familiar with the Fun Key S, it is an actual keychain that is a functioning emulation device. And it looks too small to be comfortable by human hands. And it runs about $75, give or take. Well, thanks for writing in, brother. Personally, I gotta say, it was a pass for me when I was looking for handhelds originally. And the one that I went with, which was almost twice the size, even that ended up being too small. There's no way this thing is going to be something you can play. Look down at your thumb. It looks like it's almost as small as a human thumb when it's closed up. No, I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's going to be hey, check it out. Look, I've got Mario on my little keychain. Isn't that cool? And it'll be cool for 2 seconds, and then guess what? I've seen it. And that's your $75 down the tube. I cannot imagine a practical application for this machine. One thing that the Fun Key S does that I hope other systems will do, the Fun Key S will load a game, and then when you actually snap the clamshell shut, first of all, it's a clamshell. The only other one I can think of apart from the Pow Kitty V90. It's a clamshell, and when you snap it shut, it goes right to a sleep state. So the idea is you don't actually have to boot it up and then shut it down. You just play your game because it's on your keychain, and then when you're done with it, you close it up and on you go. I think it's hard to say without actually being able to test it, and maybe that's what they were trying to do with the V90, but it just seems like it would be nice to be able to skip the boot sequence on these types of things, but I don't think that's enough to constitute the hefty price tag for the tiny machine. We're in a renaissance in handheld games. Just hang tight. Something better will come along very, very soon. All right, let's see what else we have here. Here's one. Hey CF, are you prepared for the yearly Silent Hill trilogy playthrough in October? What? No, I'm not. Diablo 2. You're assigned the job of balancing the classes in Diablo 2. What do? I didn't play Diablo too much, so it's kind of hard for me to say, but let's see what some of the other people are saying. Nothing? Every class has at least one viable build? I doubt that. Come on, this is a Blizzard game. I don't know, man. Blizzy Poo and the community went through quite a lot to fine-tune this game. Every class seems to be pretty polished at this point, especially when you consider synergies. Synergies! So even if you put a few points into something not so great, you're still benefiting from it. Wow, that sounds... I don't know, man. Yeah, and then it just goes on into a lot of reading. Yeah, I don't know. I would really like to dig into Diablo 2, but I can't comment on that at this point. Here's one I always love to read, the daily thread on the original Tomb Raider, because there's always one. I just realized while sitting in the bathroom, I've never played any of the old Tomb Raider games, despite being a boomer and enjoying the new Raider series. What's the best way to play them in this day and age? And what he posts is a picture of the original black box release of the first game on the PlayStation. Good looking game. Part of the reason I made this thread is because I thought there was support or something. Was I hallucinating that? There's a number of ways to play the original Tomb Raider. Graphically, you just get it on Steam or something like that, or GOG if you don't like Steam. There are music cues in the original PlayStation edition that really add something to the game that are worth pursuing. So if you want to run like EPSXE, you can get yourself a copy of the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation. It's a little bit grainier, but I think the music cues in a game with all atmosphere, where atmosphere is really the strong part, I think it's worth it. Hang on 1 second, please. Let's see if I can do something about this background noise. Is that any better? How does that sound? Okay, it's the fans that are doing it. There's not a whole lot I can do when it comes to the fans. Here's a response. A boomer is someone born in the 50s, you jerk. What are you, a low IQ person? I'm doing the best I can to clean this up on the fly. The term you're looking for is millennial, since that's when Tomb Raider came out. Wow. Good job not answering the question. You should go into politics. Here's a better question. Is there a way to play Tomb Raider that's not recommended? Because I think they're all good. I mean, you could argue that the Saturn might not be the best way to go because the Saturn is very, very close to the PlayStation version, just a little grainier. The Saturn is great if you're like super into the series because that's what it was originally designed for. But the other ports, it only went up from there. Personally, for my money, get the GOG version and look into getting the patch that restores the missing audio cues. I think that's the best way to do it. All right, let's see what else people are talking about. Here you go. Tank games. What's your favorite tanks from video games? That is a great question. I gotta say my favorite tanks of all time are the game Assault Rigs for the PlayStation 1. That's some great it's Battlezone. It's Battlezone, but like the new generation of Battlezone, but not quite like a modern era remake of Battlezone. So it's still pretty simple to play. That's my favorite. Apart from that, I think the tanks in like some of the later Command and Conquer games, like Red Alert 3, had some pretty awesome tanks in it. That's a kind of a weird answer, but that is a really great question because it could be interpreted a number of different ways. What do you guys think? Best tanks? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. Be sure and subscribe. Let's see what some of the other people are saying. I always played tanks in Battlefield 4. T-72 was the best. Also played Panzer General 2 and Panzer Corps. Good stuff. Panzer General 2 didn't click with me, which is weird because I loved the OG Panzer General. I played a little bit of Battlefield 4, but never online. I was just playing through the story, and I had a really good time with it until I realized I hit a point where it would trip my surge protector, and I have not yet replaced my power source, which desperately needs it. So I just backed out since I can't really, I can't. Here we go. Here's a good response. Funny enough, all are from Command and Conquer in this exact order. Apocalypse tanked from RA2, Command and Conquer 3, Mammoth tanked the original. I prefer the original designing, but still prefer CNC3 quotes the most. Overlord tank from Generals, Marauder / Paladin / Scorpion tank from Generals. Yeah, there's a Command and Conquer guy. Some pretty awesome tanks in that game. Let's see. Please, just release a remaster of RA2 with the outtakes and resolution FPS upgrades with the OST, please. That's all I'm asking, please. We got our Command and Conquer remastered, and it disappeared from the limelight pretty quick. I think that's all we're going to get for a while. Maybe that's just me. All right, let's see what else people are talking about. Oh, here's one that gets me riled. This is a bit of a waifu thread, but why not? We see a picture of Karine, good old Karen, because you can't call her Karen anymore, from the Street Fighter Alpha series. And this is the text. Here it is, the Apex female, the best Street Fighter girl, accept your defeat. I'm going to say negative. Negative on that. Karine always had awesome character design, but she's no Chun-Li. Come on now. Seriously. Really? I mean, she's like... I don't want to say dime store Chun-Li, but she's dime store Chun-Li. I mean, come on now. Ugh, shots fired with that one. I know that's going to rustle some feathers. It's good character design, but I wouldn't say she's the best. Best Street Fighter girl is a quite a statement there. And nobody replied to that one either, so people either seem to agree or it just dropped off. The more likely scenario, well, I don't really have an opinion on that. Here we go. FTL Multiverse. Newest update just dropped. You are playing the greatest indie game, aren't you? What? I'm not familiar with that. Let's take a look, because I remember FTL, and I loved FTL, except that it was just mind-numbingly hard, and I couldn't play it and not lose my brain. So let's just look up FTL and the good old Steamer memes, and nothing there. There's no new DLC or anything. I don't know. So I guess I'm not. I was thinking that there was going to be some sort of like sequel or expansion to the old FTL, because I love managing the spaceship. If you never played Faster Than Light, it's got to be the best computer bridge simulator I think I've ever played. It's just that it always inevitably ends in death. Like, I would love to play a Faster Than Light game that was a bit more exploration, and not quite as, not quite as difficult. I'll say it. I want baby mode in FTL. Why not? That's a brutal game, man. It really is. Oh, while we're recording, let's shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about Civ 2. I was really interested in getting Civ 2 set up and running on the new / old computer, the thrift store computer that I recently got working. Burned myself a fresh copy of the CD so that I could have like a beater copy for my downstairs computer. Got it installed. Everything is going great. It constantly crashes when I try to actually enter the gameplay portion. Like, the menus will load and I can navigate the menus. As soon as I try and actually start the map, I get this sort of white dialogue screen, and then the whole thing crashes. And it bombs out, which is a big drag, and it's weird because Civilization 3 works on that computer. You know? I know it's an old computer and it can't do much, but Civ 2, come on now. I don't know. Maybe it needs to be patched or something. That is a game that has some patches for it. But that was a thing. Because our good buddy Hemrock, for those of you who aren't aware, he made a pretty expansive Civ 2 mod that I got to try it a little bit a while back, but I didn't get like my big epic, long-running game, and that's kind of something I was hoping for with this new computer, was to dig into these old games. And it's a perfect way to play Civ 2. But it's a big drag that it didn't work. I'm kind of really bummed about that, actually. So I will try and patch it, and we'll see whenever we can. We'll see if that fixes it. Because that was a cool mod you made, man. More should be done with that mod. It was a cool mod. All right, let's get back to it and see what else is going on. I can feel my ability to hold a thought leaving. The games I've been playing lately, I've been really wanting to play like my safe, comfortable games. Make my safe space, man. So that I can spend those precious minutes recharging for my work. So Quake, of course, I've been talking about that past couple of weeks or however. It keeps coming up every episode. It's a favorite game of mine. I played all the way through Quake, start to finish, on Nightmare, which I had never done. I've tried a couple times, but without getting too into the snags I hit previously, I beat the whole thing on Nightmare, which was amazing. And then I also beat the first of the two official expansions on Nightmare as well. And then I started playing the one that I made a guide for. Give me a second. I want to know what it's called, so I'm looking it up right now. Otherworldly. No, that's not it. I need to know what it actually is. No, we're gonna get it. DOPA, DOPA, Defenders of the Past, I think it's called. I played through that one and beat it, and that one is a lot smaller than the official expansions, or excuse me, the older official expansions, because that one's a single episode, whereas the Scourge of Armagon, which I played all the way through, that one is 3 episodes, or 2 episodes or something. That was a good pack, because there was a mech battle at the end of it. That one I really enjoyed. DOPA, so here's the thing. I played through DOPA on Nightmare, and I didn't use any cheats until the very last room of the last map. I walked into this big hall that had been laid out carefully for a battle. Now I'm going to use some monster names here, so bear with me if you're not familiar with the Quake monster pool. But there was 2 shamblers, and there was a couple of these vores that shoot the heat-seeking things. and there were a few of these of the bigger knight guys. A very big yet manageable bunch. But the problem is Dopa, I don't know if it's there's too many monsters in the Nightmare skill level, but I was starved for ammo at that point. I walked into that room with like 30 shotgun shells, and that's it. And on top of that, you get closed in, like you can't leave. So I was either trying to truck past them somehow, which I had done a bunch of times in this episode, and I kept getting killed over and over again, and I couldn't find the way out. And I was finally like, you know what? I'm tapping out. So Impulse 9 still works on Quake. You press tilde, you type out Impulse space the number 9, gives you all armor, all ammo, all weapons, full health. And apparently it does not turn off achievements, because I got the achievement for beating Dopa on Nightmare. So what's left? There is another one of the two original official expansions. I can't think of what it's called, but it's the one that's more like castle oriented. And then there was a sequel to Dopa that I knew nothing about that's in there. So I have both of those to take on, and then I'll have beaten everything in Nightmare, with the exception of the last room in Dopa, whatever. But it was really cool, man. I enjoyed it. There's a part in Dopa where, in the very last stage, where you have to revisit the hall of, is it Shub Nagrath, the boss of the original game, and you fight Shub Nagrath, however you say it, in this sort of spiral room with a big volcano in the middle. They rebuilt that room, and of course the old boss is gone because you have destroyed her at the end of the original game. And I thought that was class. That was super well done. Just not quite on the money in terms of ammo distribution balance for that one. Play that one on hard. Don't play that one on Nightmare. Good times. Or maybe do play it on Nightmare, but just try and do the whole thing conserving ammo and running past stuff. I really don't play Quake correctly. And this is the thing. I love Quake. And I keep going back to it time and time again, but when I watch people play it on YouTube who are good at it, there's a lot of very fast-paced running past things and explosions and trying to get places quickly. I don't do that. When I play Quake, I have a very slow, methodical way to do it, and everything dies. Everything dies. And I think that's why I ran out of ammo at the end of Dopa, because that's not the way you're supposed to do it. Now, the original game, you can do it that way if you have the time and the patience. But apparently not this one, man. Yeah, so that was it. And I was able to figure out how to load new expansions into the new version, the new updated, remastered version of Quake, and they still seem to work, which is really awesome. So that's cool. So that's just been really well done. I've been very much enjoying that. So that's Quake, and that's all I have to say about that. By the way, that first chiptune we played was not actually from Battle of the Bits. That was off of the Novatos soundtrack. The Novatos chiptune collection that I'd been playing maybe a month or two ago. We went through 4 weeks solid where we were going off that one free compilation. That was really, really good. Yeah, so we're going to stick with that. We're 24 minutes in, so this is the part where I usually like to tip my hat to the sponsors, especially in September, when I have to focus on my work, so things kind of wane here on TCR. These folks have stuck in through thick and thin, and to them, when we're running normally, I offer them early access to the show, which will resume in October, but for now, I read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen, as is the old tradition here on TCR. They are Hemrock, Tecmo Balls, Dorobka, and Eric Controller. Thank you, gentlemen, for keeping the lights on here on TCR. I hope you're enjoying the party. Stick with us, more when we come back. Let's get to the fail bag. Here's one from Hemrock. Big thanks to Hemrock for being on the show a couple of times in the past month. He says, greetings and salutations. Actually, you know what? Let me move that to the center monitor. Bear with me 1 second, please. Greetings and salutations, Critical Failure. Thank you for another episode, and thank you for letting me co-host recently. That was some fun. What do you think about Summer Chip 11? Do you have any favorites or standout tunes? I'm gonna be honest, man. I've been listening to Battle of the Bits, but it's been spot checking. I picked up the latest. Is it still the latest? I picked up one from the Bandcamp page for $1, and I didn't think much of it. Spring Tracks 10 had some really good tracks on it, but I couldn't really listen to it all the way through, which seemed weird for like the top tracks of a competition that had like several hundred people submit. It seems very weird. So because of that, I still listen to Battle of the Bits because there's like amazing talent there, but I spot check for sure. I don't know. You talk about how it did as a whole. Couldn't tell you. Give me a second because I got. Hang on. I clicked away from your email and now I can't figure out where it is. Here we go. So you asked about what PS1 games are incompatible with PS2. Well, I found an interesting Wikipedia article that details the various levels of compatibility as well as workarounds. See the article here. I guess Sony and or Square Enix realized that their Final Fantasy anthology had some issues working on the PS2. Surprisingly, this was actually fixed on the Greatest Hits version, which just so happens to be the version I have. That explains why I was able to play Final Fantasy V, which was contained on the PSFF anthology on PS2 back in the day. You spoke a little about Yooka-Laylee. I wonder how Gexup liked that game. Rest in pepperoni, Gexup. Yes, indeed. On the last episode, you mentioned how you had to flip around your PS1 to get it to work. I never had to do that on mine, but I do remember going over to someone's house and they had their PS1 set on some sort of flat object like a thick hardback book. I remember asking why they did this, and one of the adults in the room said it was because the PlayStation manual said you should. I think they were not trying to set it directly on the carpet. Maybe it had something to do with cooling. Did you set your PS1 directly on the carpet? No, we didn't. I remember doing that as well. Did you ever hear about having it on a flat, solid surface or a bookshelf? Yeah, it says on the manual. I know it was relatively common to have problems with the PS1 as it aged, but do you think that you or your brothers did something to increase the likelihood of having problems with the console? So this is how it was explained to me, and I'm no expert on the subject. This is the last time I had a discussion on it. The power source inside was placed too close to the laser assembly. So what would happen is, as you'd use it, the power source or the transformers would actually cook the laser assembly, and so flipping it upside down would make the heat rise away from the laser assembly instead of onto it. As far as putting it on a clear like a flat surface, we always just assumed it was because it was ventilated poorly, and that was the best way to do it. Because if you put it on carpet, then the sparse few vents would be closed up. That's how I remember it, but those memories could be all distorted, so who knows. One of my favorite PS1 stories from childhood was how one of my friends bit off a part of the start button on my PS1 controller, but hey, the controller still worked. Thank you for introducing me to the Retro Handhelds Discord. I posted a question concerning how to increase Pico 8 compatibility on the Powkiddy V90, and within 24 hours, someone replied with a solution that worked. I did not expect that at all. What a great community. See the thread here for reference. I also started listening to their podcast. That is awesome, because Pico 8 is awesome. And I feel like those games are perfect for a handheld environment. Speaking of retro handhelds, it appears that we are entering a new generation like you alluded to on the show. I think there's a lot on the horizon. We obviously have the Odin and the Steam Deck, but there's also the RG 552, which is set to be the successor to the Anbernic RG 351. See the Retro Dodo article here. Additionally, the Retroid Pocket 3 is due to launch late this year. See the video here. However, the handheld I'm most excited about is the Powkiddy X18S. And I think we talked about that when you were on the show last week. This one is styled after the Nintendo DS, but sports a 5.5-inch IPS screen and enough power under the hood to run GameCube games. It's also nice that it has an HDMI out. The Powkiddy X18S was really hyped up at the beginning of the year, but it was set to launch at the end of March 2021. March came and went. Powkiddy mysteriously took it off their website. It seemed that everyone in the retro handheld community just completely forgot about it. I felt like I was the only one asking what happened. I even posted a comment on the Retro Dodo YouTube channel without any response. After months of silence, Powkiddy posted a video on their YouTube channel just a few days ago revealing that the X18S has reached the final production stage and implied it should be ready for purchase soon. Nevertheless, I do have some concerns. One is the price of $180, which is $5 more than the likely powerful Odin Lite. I'm also not sure how well the ergonomics are going to work, but the form factor is the biggest selling point for me. I like the idea of closing up a clamshell handheld just like the V90 and slipping it into my pocket or throw it in a bag without concern for scratching the screen. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this new sea of handhelds. I feel ya in regards to family vacations. When you're an adult with young kids on vacation, you're there to supervise. Having fun is a bonus content, or I guess it would be DLC if we're using modern gaming day as a metaphor. I'm actually about to head out with the fam on a short vacation to visit my parents. Hopefully I'll be able to squeeze in a little time with Final Fantasy GBA game from the previous month. Anywho, keep up the great work. I'm rooting for you. Thanks, man. That's so awesome to hear from you. As far as family vacations are concerned, I just remind you, like, you're right. You're there to work, but it's like think of it like a business trip. You still have fun, but you got to take pleasure in the little things. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's good times. Good times. Best of luck on your vacation. Hope you have managed to have some fun in there. As far as the new sea of handhelds, I'm super excited about it, but at the same time, I can't help but feel like like a child. Like, what do I know? I don't know anything about any of this stuff. I have 2 of these machines. I still feel like this is, how can I put this? This is a field with a really high skill ceiling as a user, as an end user. And I'm taking everything vanilla, and I don't really know a whole lot about the chipsets that are being used. I barely am keeping up with the companies that are making them and the model numbers they're using, because they're all using numerical model numbers, which is just like, what? I thought this was what I wanted, but now I don't know. I guess if you're going to put them out this fast, why bother coming up with names for them, right? I will tell you this, though. I sat down last night with the Ambernick. This is the first time in a while that I've played either one of these handhelds for longer than like a minute or two. And I started playing Yu-Gi-Oh! One of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Games. I honestly can't remember. I think it was Eternal Duelist Soul. One of the ones that's very cheap and attainable. I have all those Yu-Gi-Oh! Games, like in the actual cartridges, but my biggest gripe with them is it takes a long time to get through a duel, and you have to get all the way through the duel to save. Makes them perfect for these handhelds because you can play a little bit, save in the middle, jump out, jump in, whatever. Started playing through that and got through a few games of card games, and I was really digging it. I think I'm going to have to go back and revisit Duel Masters, right? Remember when we had that throwdown? Super cool, man. I mean, again, it brings me back to my biggest gripe with these machines is there's no way to link cable. We need a serial cable where we can play GBA games together on an emulation machine. I think that would be crazy. That would be crazy. Could you even imagine? Yeah, I bet you could. I don't know. Maybe I'll just get a Game Boy Advance SP, like a beater model, because the Game Boy Advance SP that I have like is like the Nintendo one, the one that's like painted like the NES, and it's worth a pretty penny, and it was given to me by good old NG. So I don't like taking that thing out too much. I want to preserve it. So I'm reaching a point where I think I might just like throw down some cash and get one that's like scratched up, that's just blue, or something like I used to have a long time ago, or maybe not. Maybe I'll just get. I thought about getting a Nintendo DS Lite, right? Because I always had the DS Fat, which was also given to me. I never got any further into the DS line than that. And apparently that's like a beloved system. There's like some really awesome games for the DS that are just 100% untapped. And good luck properly emulating a DS game, with one of the touch screens being a touch screen and there being two screens to begin with. I know it's been done right, but it's not easy to do, I don't think, from a hardware perspective. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about that too. It just seems like a nice way to play games, I guess. I don't know. And here again, this is more evidence of what I was saying. It's exciting. It's an exciting field, but I don't know anything. So I'm always anxiously awaiting the next little bit of info. I think that's it for Hemrock's email. Good to hear from you, brother. Hope you're doing well. This email's a little bit old by now, so I hope you had fun at your parents' place. Take care of yourself. I'll see you soon. All right, let's head over to YouTube and see what else we got. All right, over to the comments to see what we've got. We got one from Soren Raffleson from the Ambernick 280V versus Powkitty V90. And he says that I got both loaded with CFW. The Ambernick is the winner in my book. I mainly play ROM hacks and translations on the older Nintendo consoles. Regarding your daughter's save file, I believe it's possible to preserve it by backing up the SGM file connected with the ROM before you start flashing any cards with the new CFW. Not entirely sure, though. You can always get another SD card loaded up with CFW and revert back to the default one if it's not working as intended. That was actually my plan, and I just never went through with it. But I do assure you, the current best CFW for the Ambernick 280V is definitely the one called Atom. Once you've gotten used to it, it's definitely hard to revert back. Awesome. That's cool, man. That's really cool. I don't know where I stand on that. Like, I'm sure you're right. I'm sure you are. I'm just, when I use this thing, I'm having fun exploring it with what's on there right now. And then maybe at some point I'll push forward and and change it. I got some physical Pokemon cartridges coming in the mail for my daughter, and once those show up, she's not going to need her save file on the Ambernick, so I'll have a bit more play with it then. So we'll see. That's something I'm going to get back to. Thanks for clicking in. This is a guy who clicked in on and left a comment on a more popular video, so I don't think he's a podcast listener, but thanks anyway. Desm says, I notice how more people like to have multiple things running. They'll put on a movie and browse a game on their phone /handheld. Good episode, guys. Yeah, I agree. It's weird. Mecha Menace says, I don't. I'm immersed in one medium at a time unless it's YouTube. I play stuff while I'm fixing things or working on things that don't require focus. It makes working a little easier. I never understood the notion of I'll play music while playing a game. The game has music and sound effects which complement the experience. It's like stripping away one of your senses. How can you take in the full experience if those senses are devoted to another medium? It's like those people treat playing a game as work. It depends. I mean, there's a lot of variables in what you're talking about, dude. It really is. I mean, some games have terrible soundtracks, but they also have, individual volume sliders where you can just drop down the volume and still keep your sound effects, and then just throw on like a mixtape or something, and there you go. I'm generally there with you. Like I just like to listen to whatever it is I'm playing, but I'm not gonna lie, I've done it too, especially when it comes to like idle games. Like there are games that are designed to be played in the background of things. It's just I don't know. I think there's too many variables to say definitively one way or the other. Desm says, I agree. I'm the same way. I can only watch a movie. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me stop you there, Desm. I'm with you on shows. When a show's on, I'm either watching the show or not watching the show. There is no both at once. But let's get back to what you're saying. I can only watch a movie or play games, but not both at once. Yeah, I agree. But I think more kids and young adults are in the odd trend of constantly being distracted by multiple things at a time. And being addicted to phones and social media, they become too used to bombarding their senses nonstop. It's really strange. Yeah. I wonder how screens have affected reading, comprehension, and retention. When I grew up when books were still an option for passing time, and my reading skill on screens is horrible. Maybe kids these days have a different way of absorbing info. Like they suck at reading paper materials, but excel at screen comprehension. Don't know. Good questions, though. Got one from Didma on the freeware Not Tetris video, who just says, nice. Thumbs up. Thanks, man. Mecha Menace says, grab and go gaming, sleep mode at the press of a button. I see the appeal of handhelds. I loved when I got my first Android phone and I could resume whatever I was doing instantly. I think people's expectations of these portables far exceeds their battery life. Yep. I can't remember the name of the handheld/portable I was watching someone discuss the other day, but it had a 2-hour charge time and a 2.5-hour play time. That sucks. I'm sure there are better batteries, but they cost more. Further, battery life drops when a device is being used. The only batteries I've seen that far exceed my expectations are those used in the Nintendo Game Boy Advance line. I turned on the GB Micro that I haven't touched for 6 years, never charged it. Still in the charge from the original owner from I purchased it at a garage sale. Who knows how long he charged it. Can we all have batteries with staying power like that? You know what? I gotta agree. My SP has a really awesome battery as well. But the handhelds that are coming out now, I mean, at least the ones that I have, yes, the batteries aren't going to last forever, but they're not smartphones. You can change them out, you know, and they're pretty standardized as well. I can't remember what the name of the model of the battery is, but if you want some awesome battery life, just throw down and you can get it, brother. For not a ton either. I mean, you gotta pay some cash, but you know, $20-$30 and you can get, at least as far as I'm concerned, those handhelds will run as long as I want them to run. You know, if my gaming interests shift and they become my main machines, we'll see how that changes. But right now, I'm interested to see how it's going to change when the new wave comes out, because the retro handhelds are about to take a big jump. They're jumping in price and they're jumping in what they can do and whatnot with the Odin and all that stuff. All the stuff Hemrock's talking about, where they're going from that like $100 price point up to a $200 price point. I'm interested to see what happens to the battery life when those first roll out. We'll see. But apart from that, it really hasn't been too much of an issue. I got a really nice comment on a kind of like a throwaway video I did a little while back. A couple days ago, discovering GGI. It was just me playing Guilty Gear Asuka, which is like objectively the worst Guilty Gear game, but I still enjoy it because they took a chance and made something weird. He says, I literally have no idea who you are or any of that, but you make good content enough to where they deserve videos. Please make longer vids, like stream on Twitch and port the archive over or something. Take care. It was a really nice thing to say, man. That's really cool. Like, when I read that, that was something I wanted to do. So, yeah, that was cool. I started doing more or less just like chill out Let's Plays, because that's a way for me to enjoy playing something that I like while I make content, versus making content in an environment where it's 100% like creative work, which is not bad, by the way. There's nothing wrong with you know, dedicating time to creative work. It's just when I have no energy left in my tank after work, this way I can still, you know, keep things alive. Freeware, not Tetris. This is something that Swingle left something on the Discord. Give me a second. Let me pop this open. This is worth looking at here. Hang on. Here we go. Hashtag appreciate the freeware shout out. Good to see the old series return. Yeah, I used to be the freeware guy, like almost 10 years ago. So that whole Not Tetris video was, and I didn't even realize it at the time, but that was kind of like a return to form, I guess. Yeah, it's good times. If you've never played it, it's a fun little game. The appeal wears off fast, but you don't have to pay for it, so I think it's okay. That's off of the Discord. If you have any issues, like leaving comments, I know YouTube is horrible the way it like auto filters comments. One of the videos I did was a game like where the developer reached out and asked me to play it, and so I did it, and the developer tried to leave a nice comment on my video and YouTube like cleared it out. So I couldn't even read it. Thanks, YouTube. So if you want to reach out to me like and not have to worry about that, just head over to the Discord. I have a Tiger Claw Media Discord where I tried to mash together all of the different Discords that I was running into a single one with like mixed success. For example, we go back and forth on the Tiger Claw TV stuff, but I also ran like a Sunday afternoon blood sports TV Discord, and that kind of fell through. And some tabletop gaming and other stuff. But yeah, pop on over. I do have a self-promotion channel, so you can dump links to whatever it is you're working on, and we'll check it out. Yeah, and I think, is that all? I think that's everything in the failback. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Got a couple more from Mecha Menace. Has been my close pal this past week. But he left some comments on my Bennett Foddy Getting Over It video. Let's see what he's got to say. He says, oddly, the simplicity of potato mode in this game reminds me of the old 286 DOS games you'd find on a spinner rack in the grocery store for a few bucks. Sometimes you'd fish out an oddity like Cosmo's Cosmic Adventure. This reminds me of that game since you constantly test the environment using your ability to stick to pull yourself up through the walls. There were lots of secrets and shortcuts in that game. Ever play it? Not really much. I know the game you're talking about because the shareware version was on one of those like shareware discs I had, and I brought that disc over to my friend's house to try and help load his PC up with games. So he and his roommate really got into it, to that particular game. I played it maybe once, but he really, really liked it. And because of that, I know what game you're talking about. And it was included in the like the Steam, like the Apogee Mega Pack that's now gone. So I have it on Steam. But yeah, didn't play it much. Yeah, 286 DOS games were, that's a long time ago, brother. I like them very much, but they're pretty far from Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy, in my opinion. But he goes on, ever play Polychromatic Funk Monkey? The way you process upwards towards some ethereal goal by going backwards at times is really what games are all about, and maybe we lost something with the Gentle Generation's abundance of, it's okay, you didn't fail. We'll put you back a little bit so you don't feel too bad, and badmouth our game. We want our money. Battletoads would not sell in the climate of today's games. Was challenge always a meme? I'd like to think people enjoyed that kernel of frustration, each time reaching new heights and levels in games, only to be pushed back to the start with new knowledge and becoming more proficient in the process. Then again, I think the abundance of games want to focus on other things than challenge, placing obstacles in the way of the player because designers believe it necessary to qualify their experience as a game. I wonder if Naughty Dog devs think of gameplay. I feel like I already have Kojima's answer in my pocket. He thinks gameplay is a joke, a meme. Well, I think read a gaming magazine from the 80s, not the 90s in the PS1 era, but look at like a solid gaming magazine from like the old school days. Master of Orion 1 at one point was an $80 game. Okay, the reason I'm bringing this up is because if you bought a game in 1989, for better or for worse, you were playing that game. And I think during that era, there was more of a reason to have high difficulty in games because you were stuck. If you got Bennett Foddy's, Getting Over It in 1989, it didn't matter how much you hated it. You were going up that mountain, So the average game can't do that now because they know that there's 20 games like it right behind it that, you can get for nothing or next to nothing or whatever. And so I think for just a pure business aspect, I think the climate has shifted away from high difficulty. So instead, we have high difficulty as a novelty. Once in a while, you see it in a game like this, or that's what people love about Dark Souls, right? Is that there's some honest-to-goodness difficulty in it or whatever. I don't know. I never really got into Dark Souls myself. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't overthink it, though. And that is that it? Did we actually make it through an episode? We did. Ladies and gentlemen, we did it. TCR for this week. Stick a fork in her. She's done. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever it is you're struggling with, I hope it goes well. I really do. Keep going at it 100% no matter what happens. I'm rooting for you. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you next weekend.